Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.
I'm so dirty because I went through a lot of trauma when I was a child. Anyway, what we were just talking about, Tyler, that is that one, and Willows, that is me. We were talking about how I'm doing some contract canning now that I've purchased a canning line for my winery to do wine coolers and whatnot. I'm reaching out to, or actually they reached out to me, but I'm branching out into doing contract canning for other people. And I think because kind of like all the breweries, like we have a ton of contract breweries here in Manitoba.
Yeah.
Where like there's like 5 breweries brewing under one brewer.
Yeah.
And with like different brands. But I think the untapped market here is non-alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
because the only facilities in town is basically Coca-Cola.
You know what? You can't do it small scale, really.
Yeah.
There's no, I'll rescind that. You can do it super small scale. You can buy like a tabletop unit and do it,
Or mega scale.
but there's nobody mid-size
Small business scale, yeah.
that does. And all the breweries that are like doing contracting for people are either too busy or don't want to do non-alcoholic stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where I think we're gonna go. So we're doing a contracting a non-alcoholic iced tea. So shout out them. Motley Brew is the name of their company. Shout out them. And actually, I'm going to censor them until they pay me my first check, and then I'll give them a shout out. But we are drinking their stuff today here, mixed with some botanical whiskey. Yeah.
Would you ever do a drink collab with them? Is it something you'd be interested in? Because this is like a natural, like real tea, iced tea.
Your margin's gone, right?
Oh,
Like,
right. That's fair.
As soon as you start doing a collab,
you don't have margin on that to begin with.
I do a collaboration with a brand to do a alcoholic iced tea already as well.
Right.
And the margin is fucking nothing.
Yeah.
After I split it and my costs and everything.
Yeah, the sales have to be monstrous.
Yeah, and the people I did the collaboration with bring a lot of value to that because they have hundreds of thousands of followers and 100 million plus monthly reach. So it's worth because we're gonna sell volume.
Yeah.
But no offense to these guys, but I just don't think they could hit that kind of volume.
They don't have 100 million a month exposure?
Not quite.
Okay.
But no, I was telling them
50 million?
I was actually telling them that the other day when I was meeting with them and he was like, I'm like, yeah, they have like 130,000 followers on just the Winnipeg Instagram. He's like, oh, that's a little bit more than our 63. I'm like, 63,000? He's like, no.
63. That's funny.
That was funny, yeah. So shout out them. Hopefully it goes well for them. They're getting back into the farmers market game now that COVID's done, and which is a game I know very well. So we shall see. But their tea's pretty good. I have I just filled this up off it's in one of the keg fridges in the back of my winery right now. So I just pull it off a liquor keg.
Oh, perfect.
But it's just non-alcoholic. So it's yeah. So
delish.
Yeah, just another, I think that's a pretty good general business.
Would you ever buy a business like that?
Would I buy a business like that?
Yeah.
I would love to have a non-alcoholic beverage company. Yeah. I think I'd make it, though, myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it comes down to, like, if you find somebody that's, like, just really excellent at making beverages and doesn't have a lot of business acumen, you can be like, hey, let's join up.
I mean, I have Zach, so...
Yeah, I mean, he's got obviously a pretty good flair for making shit, but I mean, eventually he's not gonna be able to do everything, or maybe he can. Maybe he can just do like all the recipe making, I guess, and just like train people to do all the other stuff.
Well, you just have AI to do the recipe making, and then have like
actually,
yeah.
Have people tried this? I've heard of like comedians getting AI to write jokes for them, and then they just like touch them up.
Yeah.
Just they use it for fresh ideas.
Well, I use AI to write copy, and then I touch it up.
Yeah.
So like that's not different.
Yeah, it's a good writing prompt.
Yeah.
I've used it as like when I get writer's block, I get stuck on something, I just write around the issue, and then it punches out something, and then you have a new thread.
I've been thinking about this for a while because I have the canning line now.
Yeah. I
want to do some sort of non-alcoholic beverage just because the taxes in Canada for liquor production is just obscene.
Really?
And I'm thinking, I keep debating, I keep going back and forth of what exactly I want to make.
Yeah.
Right? So I was thinking originally, like, basically because I like, so here's the thing is I maybe I'm like, well, we should do a de-alcoholized wine or something, right?
Right.
And then lump it in with my brand and my customers. But I kind of want, if I'm going to do something non-alcoholic, I want to not even have it touching the liquor industry. Like, you know what I mean? Like the market for people that buy juice is much larger than the people that buy de-alcoholized wine.
Yeah,
even though
absolutely.
even though it's basically the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, non-alcoholic wine. I walk right past it.
In the grocery store.
Yeah,
Whatever.
because I'm like, I'll just buy wine.
Exactly. Yeah, or I'll just buy a non-alcoholic, or I'll just buy like a beverage that's not supposed to have alcohol.
Yeah,
right?
I like the sparkling fruit juices.
Yeah, me too.
Those are pretty good, but those they don't sell that as wine.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I mean. Is that there? So I think if I want to do a non-alcoholic beverage, I want to not market it as alcohol. Like I don't want it alcohol adjacent.
Right.
Right. I don't want it to be a virgin cocktail. I don't want it to be a de-alcoholized wine. I want it to be a fucking soda.
Yeah, because I think the big brands kind of already have that market pretty well used up.
I just don't think it's gonna be like, maybe I'll do like virgin cocktails in my bar, but like I just don't think I need the market's not there in my opinion.
No, I don't,
Right?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because I think like a lot of the reason that people drink de-alcoholized stuff or like non-alcoholic beer or whatever is because the social pressure to be drinking,
Right.
which I think every day is getting less and less. Like they're saying Gen Z doesn't drink like nearly as much as just statistically.
Right.
So I think a lot of the like, because why can't you just be drinking a fucking Dr. Pepper if you're going to drink a fucking de-alcoholized beer, right?
Right.
Like
This actually might be something good to kind of mainline in your wine bar. Make it like dry visitor friendly too. If you have your own product, I mean, because people are like, wow, he's so selfless. He's not just trying to make money on wine. It's like, meanwhile, you're making twice as much money on the.
Oh, dude, if
on
I
the
sold
juice.
like cups of juice
Yeah.
for like even half the price I was selling the cups of wine for,
Yeah.
I'm cleaning up. Like,
Yeah, like I saw a video that went pretty viral the other day about this Gen Z girl talking about how all social spaces are just all designed around drinking alcohol, right?
did you see that one they opened in Brandon?
No.
So they opened a bar in Brandon, Manitoba. So it's 3 hours out of the city. It's a town of about 60,000 people.
Right.
They opened a bar that's all non-alcoholic stuff.
Right.
But it's like cocktails and fancy
Right.
stuff, but it's all non-alcoholic.
So if you wanted to be successful with it, you probably have to have like a dry night.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to stay in business if I had to guess. I mean, I hope they do, but
Like I mean, for you, if you had like
small town Manitoba, I just don't see it working.
no, probably not. But if you had a dry night
Yeah.
at your place that was otherwise always drinking wine, and it was like an event sort of based thing.
Yeah, I would think you would have to do it as like not open to the public.
Yeah, it would be like an event thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that might be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not counting it out. There's a lot, obviously.
I mean, talk to your Gen Z employees to be like, hey, is this a dumb idea or would this get traction?
Yeah. So as far as like non-alcoholic beverages go, I keep going back and forth, but I think in my mind I don't want to do the like alcohol adjacent stuff. I've made that distinction. But now I'm like, okay, do I want to do something like healthy? Because like, for instance, when we make fruit wines, right? And we press those fruits, like that fucking juice, the strawberry juice, the raspberry juice tastes fucking good.
Yeah.
Like better than I've ever had the store. Like fucking phenomenal juice, right?
Yeah.
Fresh press. Like I'm like, throw some preservatives in that, fucking throw it in a can, right?
Well, I mean, there's a cold press juice company in the city, and they sell like, a bottle that's a bottle like this would probably be like $15-$20.
Yeah, so because that's my thing is that I can sell 750 milliliters of wine for $20, $30, right? I would have to sell because one of the biggest problems with just because I've told Zach, like we actually tried to do this at the beginning of COVID. We were going to make like a little non-alcoholic juice company, but the margins just didn't make sense because we were making the wine at our winery to capacity. Like I'm using 100% of all my crops.
Yeah.
And to be able to take something like that to make it into non-alcoholic stuff just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, what if we go the classic fucking corn syrup and carbonated water, right? Like do I want to own a soda company? Like I could probably make something cool.
I mean, there's already a pretty cool one in the city, right? Pick a Pop.
Is Pick a Pop local? Or are
Yeah.
they just Canadian?
I think they might be local.
Really?
Let me double
I feel
check
like I
that.
knew that, but no, they're definitely Canadian for sure. but I feel like you might be
I thought I
right.
saw them featured as like Winnipeg things.
You might be right about that.
And
I'll
then-
wait for you to fact check.
Yeah, made in Manitoba success.
Wow. Cool.
Revived 1970s brand.
Shout out Pick a Pop.
Wild.
I knew they were Canadian, but yeah, wow. So yeah, like, but do I want to go like the soda? Because like we could make a cool craft soda for sure.
Yeah.
That isn't just copying Coca-Cola. We could make cool flavors and shit. But then I'm like, do I want to like? I don't drink soda myself, right? So I'm like, do I want to put that out? And then I was thinking, what if I did an energy drink? Right? Like these, like the I won't say the brand, but the healthy energy drink that we both know and love. You know what I mean?
Love.
Like I could buy the same people that's in BC that sell me the like raspberries. I can buy like mangosteen from them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And
you
then-
could we could make our own MLM.
Yeah, no, like, but like, you know what I mean? Like I can make like
just
a
unironically make like a really good like ginseng mangosteen natural caffeine, like
Yeah.
green tea caffeine, whatever, like natural energy drink.
yeah, exactly. And then I was also
Which
I-
is like all of those drinks are just sold at massive markups by MLM companies.
yeah, but I could just make one and sell it as not an MLM, right?
Yeah, with the same markup.
Which I think would be cool. Or I was even like looking at because I try to stay off the sugar unless it's alcohol. So I drink like carbonated water and then alcohol and that's it. I don't drink anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah, sure, just flex on us.
and so I was fucking falling asleep at a market the other day. Now this is in the summer, but so I walked across the street to the co-op store there, and I was like looking at energy drinks, and I'm like, I don't fucking even know. I know I don't like the taste of Monster. I don't like the taste of Red Bull. I'm like, what do they have in like weird brands that maybe I could find one that sounds good? And I saw they have these sugar, not even sugar free, but like calorie free ones.
Okay.
So it's just basically carbonated water and caffeine
With a bit of flavor.
with natural flavors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's a seltzer, but caffeinated.
So something super simple.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I could do something like that even. Because
Yeah.
we already have the recipes and the equipment for seltzers because we make them. Like, so I just do that without fermenting.
Right.
Right.
Hmm.
So I could do that.
Yeah.
Right. So these are all the things going off in my mind. It's like all these different, and I buy fucking empty cans by the pallet, or not by the pallet, by the truckload, right? Like
Yeah.
I buy 16 pallets at a time right now. It was funny. Zach calls me the other day. He's like, "So our 15 pallets of bottles have arrived." And I'm like, what? I thought we were supposed to get 4. He's like, me too. Guy just shows up with a truck. He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, you were supposed to hold half these or like 3/4 of these, give us like 4 at a time. And then he's like, guy with the truck's just like, I don't fucking know, man. He's like, well, I can't send it back. He's like, yeah, okay. So I walk into the building, fucking pallets of bottles to the ceiling, like
Yeah.
everywhere. And I'm like, perfect.
Is that like second location?
No, at the main location.
God.
Well, I had to come in to help move pallets to the second location.
Oh, great.
Because we can get deliveries out there, but he didn't get a delivery out there because he thought it was only going to be 4 pallets.
Right.
He's like, oh, I'm bottling 3 pallets next week. Like we'll just sit on them, whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, this is like 16 pallets. So yeah. So anyway, I have everything packaging wise. I need to print labels, but that's not a problem. I have like everything packaging wise to make like an energy drink.
Which, I mean,
Or I'm not saying
I'm
energy
going to say
drink.
99% of the people out there can't say.
So that
99.9% of the people out there can't say.
because whenever you're starting a business, you always have to think, why hasn't anyone done this yet, right?
They don't have a Lamborghini costed,
So
Lamborghini priced machine
sometimes
and a pipeline of supply.
sometimes the answer is because it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes though the answer is because it's very difficult to get started.
Yeah.
It's a high barrier to entry, and my canning line alone is $200,000.
Yeah.
Not to mention, how would you ever get the price down to a craft price if you were buying, 10 cans at a time? You couldn't do it,
Right.
right? I have to buy 40,000 cans at a time to get the price down
Right.
within a reasonable, but I already am doing that, right? I know people bitching at me. They're like, I can't, because they want, so people that do, I meet a lot of people that do farmers markets, right? And that's where they launch their business. So I've met more than one person that launches their business at the farmers market, gets a little bit of traction, and then these local grocery stores here are like, hey, we want to put you on the shelf, but you need compliant labeling with all the nutrition facts and all that, right?
And facility.
And then, they've been like, well, I can't afford to print more labels for the order.
Right.
Because they're like $2 a piece to print. I'm like, where the fuck are you printing $2 a piece fucking labels?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, everyone else I called the minimum was like 1,000.
Right.
And I'm like, right. Like I'm printing 100,000 at a time. But it's hard, like looking back, I guess like I started, I don't know how I got away with it. Like,
you started medium scale, basically.
But like, I guess, yeah. So I sometimes I forget how long it's taken us. And like, we have spent a long time negotiating and switching suppliers to get the best deals we possibly can. Right. And like, sometimes like there's a bottle shortage. Our bottle guy will call us. He's like, hey, I want to make you this offer first.
Right.
Before I put them, like, we'll buy shit that's not even listed.
Right.
Just goes from them to us. And then, right. So a lot of people don't have those kind of, connections. So I could see how it's really difficult. So it's a high barrier to entry to get, like, let's just say energy drink. I'm not committing to that at all, but let's just say to make a craft energy drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to do all the product research. You need to do the production in a licensed facility, which no one has. No one, right? And then you have to, put it in a can, which the can companies won't even talk to you if you're buying less than a pallet. And if you're buying one pallet, the price is going to be fucking ridiculous, 50 cents a can or something crazy, where it's like that eats all your margin right there, right? You need to have a label hookup that's like compliant labels with Health Canada and all that. You need to have access to a lab to lab test it, because you can't put caffeine in people's bodies without lab testing.
Right.
So to make sure it's acceptable levels, which I'm already sending fucking 5 bottles a month off to my lab to get alcohol tested. It's not costing me much more to just throw one on.
And in fact, adding this on, could subsidize the cost of your existing business, right? I mean, if you could potentially bring down the cost of cans, you could subsidize the cost of upgrading your canning line.
Yeah, so it would depend on the situation. So my winery, I own 50% of, right? With my business partner. So if he wanted to be involved, then it wouldn't matter. We would just eat the costs and then just whatever. Right. But if he wasn't involved, then I think what I would do is like rent the canning line from the other corporation.
Right.
To my first corporation at a very reasonable rate, obviously, but you will get in trouble with CRA if you don't do what do you call it, market rate at stuff.
Right.
If you start cutting your other company's deals and stuff, if you can get in trouble for or you can do it, but you have to like pay taxes on what the market rate would have been.
Right.
Yeah, to prevent people from doing exactly this.
Right.
Like, so.
Which the bigger the company gets, the more it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, because like, you're I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, you're a fucking, you own a plane manufacturer, and then you buy a private jet from it for $1.
Yeah.
And then you don't pay any taxes on it because you're like, well, I only made $1.
Right.
But it's like, no, that's not like, my parents transferred me a piece of real estate. Long story, but we had to transfer this piece of real estate to me, and they just gave it to me for free, but I had to pay taxes, land transfer tax on the assessed value.
Yeah.
Right. So they start getting weird with corporations giving discounts to other corporations that you have a stake in.
Speaking about taxes, have you heard about the recent like crackdowns? I guess it's like new tax season, and they've got all these like new IRS employees.
87,000 of them.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a weird number too, because about 3/4 of them is just like replacing people that have retired
or died of COVID.
Right. So it's not actually that much of an increase, but it is an increase, and there's been some changes. But like they're just cracking down on like tips, like tip reporting, like for like servers and stuff.
Yeah, they're
in
now going to let
hospitality
the employers send in a report that says how much they tip, so that
Right.
the IRS can like
tax them for it.
put that against
Yeah.
what you said and see if you're lying to them or not.
That's fucked.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's
Remember
just,
how-
it's entrapment. That's all it is. Like,
Remember how when Biden hired all these IRS agents and then Kamala was like,
it's not for
they
you.
will
It's
never,
for the rich.
yeah, they will never attack the normal person. They will be used against the billionaires.
Yeah.
And then this happened.
Of course, it had to. Like, I love the decisions made of like, no, you have to self-report your taxes, and if you lie, you go to prison. And other countries are like, no, we just like send you the bill at the
Yeah.
end of the year.
Well, because they obviously know what you.
Well, no, it was
Most of the Scandinavian just send you a bill.
Yeah, no, the U.S. was going to change their tax code to that, where they would just send you the bill at the end of the year, because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, it'll be easier.
Yeah.
And then H&R Block successfully lobbied
Wow.
and killed it.
You know what happened here? I think it was our liberal government.
Or was it QuickBooks? One of the two. H&R Block or QuickBooks. Maybe both.
I think if you start looking in that industry, everyone owns the same
Well,
company. Like they're all
QuickBooks owns TurboTax.
right. That's what it is. Yeah, Inuit.
Yeah.
Inuit. What is it?
Intuit.
Intuit. Inuit is native people of the north in Canada. Into what is it?
Intuit.
Why can't I say it? Intuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Intuit.
Intuit owns QuickBooks and owns
TurboTax.
TurboTax. So that's funny.
Yeah.
But I think okay, whatever. This is completely irrelevant. But so in Canada, our liberal government, I think this was somewhere in the 2010s, between the 2010s and 2020, somewhere in there. The liberal government was going to make a one-page return, they call it.
Right.
Where it just simplifies everything. Like, because right now, if you've ever done your fucking taxes, you have to, it's like, see line 837, and like, it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck am I even doing? And like, if you use a software like TurboTax, it simplifies for you,
Yeah.
and you only have to put in like 20 things, but it's actually, you're literally submitting like 500 pages of documents to them.
Right.
So they just wanted to make it a one-pager where it's like, this is how much you owe, how are you going to pay us?
Right.
And the NDP, which is our left, in quotations, party, I say that because they're just fascists that want dental care. If you don't want to,
And bigger government.
if you're not actively dismantling capitalism, you're a fascist party, right?
True.
So our left party shot it down, saying if we simplify the tax code, we'll lose jobs at Canadian Revenue Agency.
Yeah.
Because human beings need to go through those 500 pages from each 37 million of us, and those jobs would be lost, and that's why I'm voting against it, and they shot it down.
Yep.
So that's fun.
Yep. Makes sense to me.
That doesn't make sense.
I mean,
to
like,
me.
one of the it's like I just spent like last weekend or the weekend before just radicalizing my mother against like policing in general. And I'm like, how genius, it just kind of like the conversation kind of just ended on the note. I'm like, how genius is it that they tax the people and to fund their own mechanism of oppression? It's like we pay for our own oppression. It's incredible.
Well, it's a mafia, right? It's a protection racket.
Yeah, it's and
extortion.
Yeah, but it used to be paid for by the wealthy as a mechanism of
To
suppression
oppress
of the workers.
Yes, and now the workers.
And now the
pay it
workers pay
themselves.
for it
Oh, yeah.
for themselves.
Oh, it's
which
genius.
It's
genius.
fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's genius.
The quote public sector.
Yeah.
also known as enablement of, it's just forced labor by another system.
Which is funny because that's like, this will be my one Andrew Tate mention of the podcast, but people like Andrew Tate say like, that's what happened. Like slavery didn't get abolished, it just evolved.
Right.
Right. And now they don't, the only difference
royalty
now,
didn't die. They just go by different names like
so
CEOs and senators.
I always talk about horseshoe theory where the farther right you get and the farther left you get, you eventually converge again.
Right.
Because most of the alt-right believe there's a ruling elite and you're all slaves, right? And then most of leftists also believe that.
Yeah.
The alt-right thinks that giant corporation... No, I think they even hate giant corporations.
No, they just think all the giant corporations are run by a cabal of Jews.
Yeah, but in realism, it's a cabal of Jews.
As well
Right.
as every other religion and denomination, and the only thing that actually unifies them is their wealth and class.
So I saw something. I think it was Rockefeller.
Famous Jew.
I don't know if it was Rockefeller. It was one of the original billionaires, like one of those like original American billionaires.
Carnegie.
I don't know. It definitely wasn't Carnegie because I've dived pretty deep into Carnegie's life. I think it was Rockefeller. I'll just tell a story, and I'll give you enough that you can Google it at home if you wanna learn more. But I thought it was I died laughing because this is like what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the river, what is it? The river Time, whatever. In Europe, he bought property on either side of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then built a toll booth. So if ships came through,
Right.
they had to pay a toll. And they're like, and this was in the Netherlands part of the river.
Yeah.
At the time, Netherlands didn't have a standing army.
Right.
So they like sent people down to stop it. And there's just a bunch of like Italian mercenaries with guns. And they're like, I guess we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
He just did this for like 30 years.
Yeah.
So if anyone like wanted to ship anything to like into Europe, they had to pay, I think it was Rockefeller, a fucking tax. Basically, like, because he just built this like Watergate, oh no, Watergate that was like that would open when you pay him,
Right.
and had it guarded by a private army, and the government was like, yeah, we don't really have the resources to deal with this.
I think the lesson.
And like, well, I was gonna say the lesson in my mind is like that's just like what corporations are doing right now.
It's just legalized.
It's just legalized, right? Well, it was
now they just call it a public tender.
yeah, it's like, oh man.
I was gonna say, I think the lesson of that story is having recently done a bit of a dive into Atlas Shrugged, is nothing good in the world ever happens without a capitalist, and obviously that shipping lane would not have functioned without that toll booth. So
What if-
you need the toll booth in order for trade to move.
What if what's her name that wrote Atlas Shrugged?
Ayn Rand,
Ayn
which isn't
Rand.
her name, but
What if Ayn Rand was actually a leftist, like satirizing what she wasn't for sure?
No,
but
she-
what if
yeah.
she was? That would be the greatest prank.
if she was, she couldn't have done it better.
I'm trying to think of like the best satirists, like
I won't.
Nathan Fielder, I guess.
I was
is,
gonna say like
top.
Star Wars and shit comes to mind.
Yeah, but that's not really satire. That's just like,
Well, he was satirizing the Nazis.
well, he
right?
wasn't. It was the Korean War, but he wasn't, or Vietnam, one of them. He wasn't satirizing it as far as like making, like it was referential, right? Like it was, the themes were the same.
I think
like
s-
Starship Troopers is a satirization.
Right,
Star Wars isn't like a satirization. It was just like taking themes
right. And
of, it was basically saying America is the bad empire.
I think Monopoly is a good example.
Yeah, okay, that's a great example. Yeah, the Parker brothers made it as a criticism.
The Parker brothers bought it after it took off as a pro-capitalism game. The inventor
yeah,
created it as a
was-
criticism and actually received none of the credit for the invention of it,
Which
because
is-
some fucking white guy who was like just played this game that everybody knew and everybody played, and he's like made minor changes to it and is like, this is my invention, and everyone's like, no, it's fucking not. I've been playing this for 20 years. It's not your invention. But he managed to get the patent and whatever, and he sold it to Parker Brothers. And the woman that invented it never got any credit and like died with like a 3-line obituary. And this fucking guy who stole the design got like a page,
So what you're
in the same
saying
paper.
is
which is incredible.
the exact criticism that she was levying with this board game
Yeah.
came true in real life.
With the board game itself. Yeah.
So like you can't,
She's like, look how evil capitalism is. But the thing, like,
and then capitalism fucks her over.
and capitalism fucks her over, but also like the game takes off because like it's supposed to show
People
you.
didn't get the joke.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to show you how oppressive the system is.
Yeah.
But in reality, what makes it addicting for people is the one time that they win.
Yeah, which is why they keep.
The feeling of crushing your family underneath your boot
Yeah.
is so addicting.
That you
You're
all
willing
keep
to
wanting-
get crushed a bunch of times in order to get that one opportunity to crush again,
Which is capitalism, baby.
which is capitalism, baby.
I think that's,
Which fucking sums it up, because that's why people love Trump. Because like, I could be Trump.
that's like the people that watched Borat and a racist and thought it was funny because they're like, look at this guy doing a racist thing.
Yeah.
But he's making fun of them for being racist, right?
Yeah.
But Sacha Baron Cohen I used to respect so much. And then during COVID, he fucking fell for bait from Lushix, the Australian graffiti guy that does like memes. He did a meme of like Bill Gates with a COVID vaccine being like trying to upload your booster or something.
Right.
And fucking Sacha Baron Cohen retweets it with like a fucking 10 paragraphs being like, this is dangerous, like, you know, and it's like how, like all, and then he was even on Joe Rogan. He was like, how is the master of fucking modern day satire falling for satire? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like how, and that just fucking ruined it for me.
Oh, that's
and
so
like,
funny.
Same with on the Star Wars fucking tangent.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill is like a fucking liberal. And he's always being like, we need to vote for Joe Biden to and he was like using Star Wars memes to be like, we need to vote for Joe Biden to take down the evil Trump empire. And like all the I think I turned off comments because all the responses were like, he's the empire. Like, it's like, you're like, that pisses me off.
When you like chocolate or vanilla with your,
it's
Luke
Skywalker didn't fucking vote for a new emperor.
Yeah.
Right? He took up fucking small arms and killed the fucking general of the fucking enemy army. Like, you know, it's like, you missed the goddamn point, Mark. Like, and it's so funny because there's like a lot of Star Wars drama that I'm always involved in.
Yeah.
The Star Wars community as a whole is like probably the worst, most toxic community, but which is why I think it's entertaining. But there's so many fucking big Star Wars creators that are like, they're like, look how woke Disney made good Star Wars, and I'm going the opposite way. I'm like, they're not communist. Like, you missed the fucking point. It was fascists, like they were terrorists. Like, literally, they didn't vote for another fucking emperor. I'm fucking mad now.
How is a violent insurrection woke?
And it's like Luke Skywalker grew up in a uncontacted desert area where he got radicalized by an ancient religion, right? And then met a bunch of militarized terrorists and then killed 1.3 million people in a fucking insurgent strike.
I mean, if you like take off some zeros and stuff, that's basically 9/11.
That's basically 9/11. So, and he's the fucking hero. So what am I saying? Maybe Osama bin. Okay, and let's.
Maybe Osama is actually Luke Skywalker.
I was gonna say maybe Osama bin Laden's actually the hero of this story, but now,
but we all know he didn't actually do 9/11.
Now that we've gotten another episode demonetized, we're going to transfer here into the segment that we call Shot Caller, the part of the show where you, the audience, can pick the shot that
and
we take.
And we remonetize the show.
And now because we have a sponsor, we remonetize the show. This week's episode is sponsored by the Beyond Van Gogh exhibit, touring in a city near you. Google Beyond Van Gogh for your tickets, which they might take my money away when I say this, but it was like $30 a ticket in Winnipeg. It's like $150 in Toronto for the same exact exhibit because they just travel.
They are subsidizing my enjoyment, and that's okay.
Because they just know nobody will go in Winnipeg because we're so fucking cheap.
That's just smart.
So thank you, Van Gogh, for sponsoring this episode.
And discounting
Vincent,
for
that
Winnipeg.
is. Not the exhibit, like the actual guy.
Nice guy.
I know.
What?
We also shot the watermelon thing again. If that wasn't, I don't think I said that. So, your flight leaves in 5 hours.
What?
Okay, like 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours. I'm excited.
So this is probably the last time anyone will hear from.
We'll ever see you. We're taking cheap flights across Canada. We might not make it.
So I'm taking reputable flights on the way there. So we're going on vacation together.
We're taking the same flight there. Halfway.
I'm taking reputable flights there, but you're taking sketchy flights both ways.
No, half of our flights are the same. We're taking 4 flights. 2 of them are the same. 2 of them are different.
He's taking a budget airline.
And so are you.
Only between Halifax and Ottawa.
And Toronto.
No. I'm flying WestJet the whole way there.
What?
Yeah.
Are we on different planes flying at the same time?
No, remember you said you changed it because it was cheaper at the end, at the last minute.
When I don't know. Anyways,
Anyways.
I'm pretty sure we're flying out at the same time from Toronto to Halifax at the same time, so I'm pretty sure it's the same flight.
So we're going on vacation together, Tyler.
Yeah.
Again. This is the first time since before COVID that we're going out of the province together. Yep. So that's fun.
That is fun.
We were in Mexico in 2019. And then we went to rural Manitoba. We rented a cabin in 2020. Because we try to do something every February. If you're a long-time listener to the show, you know that one. So every February around this time, we do a little trip. So yeah, Mexico 2019. 2020 was cabin randomly.
When it was minus 50.
It was like literally the coldest week we've had in 10 years.
Literally minus 50.
And we went for a hike.
It was great.
It was fun. I actually had fun.
It was a nice hike.
My favorite memory of that, okay, well, you had just gotten a kitten.
Yep.
And you took it with us. And there were no pets allowed in the cabin.
Oh, yeah.
So
we just gaslighted the shit out of them.
So I'm paying for or I'm giving the key back at the end. And I'm glad I went now because I just went because I was like not carrying anything at the time. It was like, and Zach's like, go give the key back. I'm like, okay. But it's good because well, maybe you too, but like we're the only ones that can talk on our feet. Like Zach can't and like the girlfriends couldn't.
And you're standing there with your sunglasses on, fucking hungover.
Yeah, so I'm glad I went to talk to her because I'm fucking pretty quick usually with a quip. So she was like, one of my staff saw that you had a cat carrier and like you can't have pets and it's gonna be a fine and everything. And I'm like, oh no, we just like didn't have a bag, so we were just using that to carry shit like it's an old one. And she's like, you're not lying to me? You don't have a pet in there? I'm like, no, it said no pets. What are you fucking talking about? And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, here's my key. And I just left. And we definitely had a kitten with us.
Yeah.
But it was like a baby and you didn't want to leave it at home. So you took it.
Yeah, she's like 7 weeks old. It's
Yeah.
like, this cat's not going to ruin your fucking shitty ass cabin.
It was just funny. Then one of the things I remember too is that we were cooking bacon and it was venting out the side of the cabin and a bunch of foxes came up.
Oh, yeah.
And that was super cool.
Yeah, I forgot that was the cause. But yeah, they like walked. Yeah. They were like little white foxes. They walked right up to, or were they?
No, they were like orange, like proper.
Oh, okay.
Proper one. I have pictures of them. Yeah. It's fucking. That was lit. That was so cool. It was like, I opened my eyes in the morning. It's just little baby foxes. I'm like, oh.
There's a cabin in Ontario that's famous for. You go there and you'll see wolves. Like there's like a pack of wolves that lives like in that little pocket of woods.
They're just huskies.
No, they're massive, and they'll walk right up to the windows in the cabin, which is like kind of scary. And like I don't know, I maybe wouldn't go outside at night, but they walk right up to the windows, and there's like dozens of videos of people just like seeing these things. Although it'd be really disappointing because it's kind of hard to see a wolf or know what their habits are. So you like pay a top dollar, like $800 a night to go stay in this place, and you don't see shit, which is probably what happens most of the time. But yeah, have you ever? Shouldn't ask you a question. You're not even sitting at your microphone.
You're ruining the.
I've seen a wolf.
You're ruining the engagement for the listener.
I've seen wolves in person. I've seen like the like it was a gray wolf, like great gray wolf or a timber wolf, but a fucking monstrous wolf. That was owned by this lady who breeds them for movies.
I was yelling from across the room when he was like, you're not even sitting here. I'm like, you're ruining the immersion. The listeners think we just sit here the entire time.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah. Are you allowed to breed wolves? I feel like that's not okay.
Well, she was doing it.
Well, I sell drugs, and I'm... What a joke that was.
In Minecraft. No, well, okay, well, she's on a reserve.
There's no laws up there.
So I'm pretty sure it's fine. But... anyways, she had the fence that they were in was massive. It covered like most of her yard. It was 10 feet high, and the top of it was completely covered, like it was chain link, and the top of it was enclosed because they can climb.
I like them.
The fence went down 6 feet into the ground.
Because they dig.
Because they can dig.
I like them.
Like really far.
Funny.
And they're fucking massive. And we just drove by, and one of them like ran up to the fence. There's like a dog, right? He just like runs up to the fence, stands up, puts his paws up, and is like almost at like the 10-foot.
Did you touch its belly?
I didn't. My friends actually, they went back when she was like around, and they actually like got to pet one of them.
That's sketchy.
She like walks in the cages, whatever, all the time, but she knows them from puppies, and yeah, so she sells them off like all over the world. But Yeah,
To who? Like
fucking-
Scarface type people?
Yeah, and apparently like Hollywood's like her main
Okay, I could see
like
that.
trainers and stuff.
Yeah.
They use real wolves for movies, believe it or not. Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
I feel like they don't do that often.
Last time I actually saw a wolf, I was driving down the Trans-Canada Highway, which is, believe it or not,
Our one highway.
99% of it is just through nothing.
That's-
There's nothing around for a very long distance, and it's
Yep.
the only highway through this, between Manitoba, Ontario.
Yep.
So I was driving through that pocket of woods, and there was just, I just see this, what I thought was like a dog running down the shoulder of the highway, like just like cars whizzing by like 3 feet away, and this thing does not give a fuck, and it's just like running like the correct direction with traffic, just like right on the yellow line, just like jogging at probably like 20 miles an hour, like pretty good pace. And I whiz by it, and I'm like, holy shit, that was a wolf. Like, it was probably, if you were standing next to it, it'd be like up to your waist. It was gray, fucking mean looking. So it's probably an old, anytime you see one alone, they're too old to keep up with a pack, so they
Shame.
get kicked out, so they become scavengers.
Shame.
So it, like, instead of running through the woods, it's like, I'm tired, I'm gonna take the road today.
Me.
It's like fucking grandpa just going for like a casual 50-mile stroll.
Me as a wolf. I'm not getting my fucking shoes in the mud.
I'm looking at my shoes.
I'm going on
dirty.
the road.
He's running down the highway, and he's like totally chill. He probably does this all the time. Like, was
I
not
like-
spooked at all by like semis and stuff going right next to him.
Yeah.
I don't think that was Canadian as shit.
Yeah, I've never seen
Second most Canadian thing I've ever seen.
I've never seen a wild wolf, but they're at the zoo
Yeah.
here, and you can get right pretty close. Well, not like you can get like arms reach from them. And
They're scary.
yeah, they're big, and they're cool in the zoo because they have their little pack.
Yeah.
And they run around the edge of their. It's like a really big enclosure with like simulated mountains and stuff.
Yeah.
And they do the whole pack thing where they like run in a line, and it's cool. Yeah, they're.
And FYI, our zoo is strictly a rescue,
So
and they don't have like every animal they have in there is would like if they
Can't be
released
would die, yeah.
would die in
So-
the wild. Yeah.
I also can't find any information about that online. But somebody swore to me. They were like, no, I used to work there, I swear. And I'm like, okay. And I was drunk at a bar, and I'm like, yeah. And then I've been telling people that
Yeah.
for like years. That's how you know it, I think. And then I was saying the other day, and someone tried to argue with me, and I Googled it, and I couldn't find any information about that. So I'm not going to say that's a thing.
I'm pretty sure I've heard this is like I actually like met with.
If you said heard it a separate place than me,
yeah, no,
then I think it's probably
I've
true.
met with leadership of the zoo when actually like before they showed us. I got shown like brochures of the Leaf like 8 years ago, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, look at this thing we're gonna do."
I heard about that like when we went.
It was for like the Brew at the Zoo thing.
I do that every year.
It was like a collab, or I don't know why I was there. It was like some meeting, but yeah, they were talking about like, oh, this is what makes our zoo amazing because like my bosses from fucking Spain didn't know anything about them, and I'm pretty sure I heard it in that pitch too. So
Okay. Oh, if we heard
I
it separate
think-
places,
I think
then-
that's fairly standard for Canada.
yeah.
Maybe not like
America, you can do whatever you want.
what is it like Marine World?
Yeah.
Sea World.
SeaWorld, yeah.
SeaWorld.
The dolphins at SeaWorld try to kill themselves.
Based.
They throw themselves against the wall, try to break their own neck
Yeah.
because they realize how bad their existence is.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite facts is like I think it's like more than 80% of all the fatalities of trainers of like whale trainers in the world is a result of one whale
I like them.
that's killed like that's killed so many trainers, but
Get
they
'em,
just like keep
Shamu.
them around
I like
because he
'em.
makes them so much money, and they're just like, well, trainers are easy to replace, but this
True.
whale makes us cash.
We saw a dolphin in Mexico.
We did.
Yeah.
It was a very
was nice.
sad, tiny. It made me very sad.
I think-
it was the smallest pool.
Well, I think that's not where he lived, though. I think they took him over there
Well, maybe.
to show people, and then I think he probably lives
I
somewhere
don't imagine
else.
their enclosure is that great though,
Yeah, that's fair.
and they're like smelling distance from the ocean, which is the worst.
That is fair. But he was nice.
He was a good boy.
Yeah.
I saw a pretty funny summarization, I guess, of a scientific article that was published of how orcas are like the peak of the food chain and are presumably very intelligent,
Yeah, I think they're pretty,
but like their behavior is like incredibly violent, and they're just like they torture other animals, they fuck with them, they just like kill
which
for
isn't,
sport.
like, the smarter you get, doesn't that make it the worse?
Right.
You
So
know what I mean?
this paper was basically arguing it's like I think orcas are like sadistic sociopaths that just like commit violence because they enjoy it, not because they're just like, thoughtless, not like sharks. Like they fuck with sharks.
So at which case we should be keep them in fucking solitary confinement,
Right.
because
True.
they should be punished
Because they're evil.
for their crimes.
Like this serial killer of an orca knows
Yeah.
what he's doing.
I wonder if you could like.
I mean, also he's killing his captor, so fair.
I wonder if you could like give them some sort of IQ test, where if they could like hit a certain threshold, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like punishing most animals, they don't understand why you're punishing them, right? They don't understand. They can't grasp the concepts of like morality, right?
But more intelligent animals can hold a grudge. Like a dog.
Yeah.
A dog can hold a grudge.
No, I know, but like a dog doesn't know, like it can't comprehend. It just associates, like if you smack it every time it does something, it just associates that with
Right.
getting smacked. It's not like it understands this is
Intent.
why I need, this is why I got smacked because I did this, because they don't realize that. But I'm wondering if like
There's no prefrontal
dolphins,
cortex.
yeah, they don't have but like dolphins do have a prefrontal cortex,
Right.
right? So I wonder if you could educate them that they're being punished for being sociopaths.
I mean, probably.
I don't think there's any
I
money
just,
in that.
I just like the idea. Like,
You like the idea of narcissistic sociopaths murdering people and
Yeah.
fucking with people?
no, I like
You
the idea,
would.
like that octopi and like orcas, squid are out there in the ocean just living like fully intelligent, sentient lives. But like for them, their life is what it is. Like they can a giant squid can't live any other existence than it lives.
But none of those. What does sentience mean in real life? I know what it means in the Star Wars universe. I don't know but I know that's different in real life.
I think it's kind of like
You have to be self-aware.
yeah, it's a self-awareness, I guess. It's like you know that you're alive.
But I think no animals are sentient except us.
Well, we assume that. Like that
Well, I guess, but I guess
This
like
is-
people
you-
do tests, right?
No, you have to remember that the tests around intelligence and sentience and self-awareness and all of that was invented by fucking white people and was used as like black people aren't sentient because
That's a fair
reasons
point.
because
That's a
they're
fair
like not
point.
as good at math that white people invented.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
But until they found this one uncontacted tribe that is better at math than like every white person, they're like, oh, and they
I
just
kn-
gotta
I
like
know-
discard that data as like an outlier, and they're like, it's not actually relevant. Like all of these things are based off of white supremacy. Like everything that we understand about sentience, intelligence, and humanity
Well, and that's
is
why
all
we need to
based
ban
off.
critical race theory.
Yeah, because that's
But, like,
obviously
okay.
it's obviously fucking with the facts.
Can you look at while I talk the definition of sentient
Sentience.
quick?
Well, it's just gonna give me like a bunch of chat GPT.
No, I want to just define sentience or whatever. Because Coco the gorilla, right?
It's like definition of senility. I'm like, yes.
Coco the gorilla, right?
Okay, sentience is the capacity to experience feelings and sensations, coined by philosophers in the 1630s.
Okay, Google are dogs sentient?
I like where this is going. Oh, it was right there. Evidence from multiple scientific studies has helped us to understand that a wide range of animals are sentient beings.
Okay, all right. So I think in Star Wars, sentience is a higher bar. You need to be able to talk and communicate and
Yeah.
and then in real life, I thought it was the opposite.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of animals are sentient.
Right. And I
Because
would, I would
I was
argue.
gonna say before I lose it, Coco the gorilla knew fucking 300 words in sign language,
Right.
and was able to identify that she was in the world, like she had not object permanence, but like even higher than that,
Right.
where she was able to identify this is me and able
Right.
to understand complex concepts
Right.
that were
In death.
that children can't
Right.
comprehend. Yeah, death. Yeah, she started crying when her longtime
Goodall.
zookeeper friend died. I don't think it was Jane Goodall. I think it was another one, but she was like, that makes me, that fills me with sorrow, like this gorilla signed, and it's like,
Right.
oh, like it not only does it understand that, but then it's reacting in a way that you would expect. But even like a fucking my friend, like Margaret was babysitting a bird, and it was fucking like, not only can it speak English a little bit, which is fucked. No,
Right.
actually, it can't speak English. It can speak Afrikaans.
Better.
She was speaking Afrikaans to it, and it was responding in Afrikaans. But but no, it's like it was able to be like it was able to identify like, okay, this is where the food is. Take it to me, and then we're gonna do this, and then it's like, I don't know. It was like it was talking to you, and it's like, yeah.
I think one of the more interesting things I've heard in the last week was one of the things we can't talk about or shouldn't talk about in society is the fact that nature has sentience, trees, fungus,
Was that me and you
rivers.
that were talking about? There's like research to say that like plants might be more sentient than we think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And-
trees
and-
trees speak to each other. Trees have memory.
And we ignore it because then even vegetarianism is like is
Exactly.
bad. So we just
Everything we do is completely immoral.
we
like,
just choose to ignore it.
like
But it's like, how do you live though? Like,
we're like how do you live? I don't look back in history of the 900,000 years of human existence and how they lived in harmony with the land instead of fucking destroying it.
no. But like that, you're still killing plants and shit.
Well,
Like if a plant is sentient, right? There's no moral way to kill it, right?
right.
So we got to stop at some point.
I was gonna say it's not like humanity has any morals against killing each other with the right
No, I'm not
justification.
saying. I think killing humans is fine for the most part, right? I don't really see a problem with that. I got banned for 5 days off Facebook for someone's like, well, if you're gonna have an abortion and kill a baby, well, you're okay killing an adult. And I'm like, I would kill a baby to save an adult every single time, and they fucking banned me for 5 days. I'm like,
You're just saying the same thing with different words, and it's not okay.
yeah, and then I tried to appeal it, being like I was being facetious, and they fucking rejected it. Like a human looked at it and said, "No, you're banned."
Fuck off.
Well, because for sure, if we were ever trolley probleming like an adult human,
Right.
like a 40-year, because like I think someone was saying like, so it was a post about abortion not being okay, even if the mother's in danger of dying,
Right.
Because you can't kill a kid to save somebody else,
Right.
which is basically just the trolley problem,
Right.
And someone's like, you can't kill a baby to save, a 40-year-old woman, for instance. And I'm like, there's not a single 40-year-old woman I wouldn't kill a baby. And then, no. Actually, now I'm remembering. No, that's not what I got banned for. Later in the thread, I said, actually, come to think of it, I'd kill a toddler to save a 40-year-old. And that's what got me. Yeah, no, now I remember. Yeah. I said like, oh yeah, no, I'd kill an 8-year-old probably.
like up to 8, yeah.
A little bit older than that, you're getting like, okay, now it's a moral dilemma for me.
Right, now
But, like,
now like 1820s parent would actually give you a name.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like fucking
You're not
kids,
just boy?
Yeah, kids die all the fucking time.
If they make
Like,
it to 8, they'll probably make it.
yeah. So like, but like somebody, like what are the
Somebody
odds?
soundbite this whole section.
What are the odds that a 8-year-old will contribute to society? Okay, maybe 8's getting a little bit too old, but like, there's a reason why you have like hormone, when you have a kid,
Right.
that make you love the kid,
Right.
because, like, can you love a baby? They don't do anything. They don't have a personality.
Objectively, they're a problem.
Well, it's like they don't have a personality, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, how can you like? Even fucking cats have a personality, right? It's like
Yeah.
how can you possibly like something that doesn't do anything, like on that level? You know what I mean? On like, I love this.
Right.
It's like, can you love? Like, love is such a complex.
If there wasn't hormones involved, I think you're right. Like there's like a lot of wiring that like makes us think babies are cute.
because they want it, because the first time that baby shits itself, we would have fucking thrown it in the river.
Right.
If like in
which
the year negative 7,000, right?
Right.
Like,
In which case species doesn't evolve.
exactly. So we have to love the baby, which I'm acknowledge, but like I think like you can think the baby's cute and like the baby, but like how many people are trading their life for a dog's life?
Too many.
Would you? No, but like seriously, I don't think many people would like. When it,
I go like too many, and you're like, no, people don't do that.
when you,
Well,
if it came down to
I was
it,
gonna say like life for life, like I will die for my dog. Very minuscule number. I was thinking more like, oh, people are like living their entire lives in order to please a dog, or like pay for their dog's health care.
And like I'd risk my life for my dog probably.
Right.
Like if it fell in the river or something,
Right,
I
yeah.
might jump after that dog.
Right.
I think likely. I would like dogs
Because the dog would do the same.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fine. But like, in a situation, in a completely non-realistic situation where someone is like, "I'm going to shoot you or shoot the dog you pick," like, who's fucking saving the dog?
Right.
It's a fucking dog. Like, I love dogs, but it's a dog. Come on, like,
sorry,
it doesn't
dude.
understand. Like, yeah, sorry, buddy, right?
What if you asked the
But,
dog?
Brr, brr, brr.
What would the dog say?
Here's a good line. Here, you can use this one.
The dog would say, "Shoot me."
You ever wonder if your dog or your girlfriend loves you more? Lock them both in the trunk for 8 hours. Open it up and see which one is happy to see you.
That's science right there. And
The dog will be like, "Oh fuck yeah, hey buddy."
shot number 2.
So we're gonna take shot number 2 because on this show, if we take a shot that's under 40%, we take a second one.
And the fact that we always buy shots that are under 40%
It's just so we can take two,
has
yeah.
nothing to do with no. It has nothing to do with that. It's completely coincidence.
I think one time Tyler tried to like do the math, and he's like, doing 2 shots at 35% is way more than doing one. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
But it's not less than.
Thanks, Beyond Van Gogh, for sponsoring this episode.
Ooh, spicy.
Maybe one day Maybe one day I'll post the video of Tyler sitting for 4 hours before he drives home to sober up, like constantly. He's just sitting on my couch down here drinking water out of that fucking 75-ounce water bottle that he has.
And this is actually full of electrolytes and natural vitamins and ginseng.
You buy those little packets?
Yep.
Word.
Thanks, Mom.
We should get into that business.
Oh. Sell mystery powders that don't have any nutritional information but make a bunch of health claims.
So
they're talking about regulating. Here's an interesting subject.
Okay. We are going into an hour.
So
The last we were really good for like between probably episode 50 and episode like 90 of like being like 1 hour pretty much exactly.
Yeah.
Like an hour of content with like an intro and an exit. Like most of the episodes were under 110. And then the last like 4 episodes have been like an hour and 45 minutes.
Oops.
Because we're just like,
you get into a groove.
you get into a group. Well, usually I cut us off. But then the last like few episodes were just like in a good argument. And I'm like, you know what? We need this fucking discussion.
So here's a good one.
Do you think this makes us like, do you think we're getting less depressed or more depressed that we need to rant longer?
I would say less.
Okay.
I would say less. I would say it's better.
We haven't done the,
No, it's Willow's getting more and I'm getting less. That's what's happening.
we do a weekly mastermind call with some
Yeah.
of our business owner friends. And we used to do at the beginning, my friend Mitch who's been on this podcast before, 87. I don't know if it was 87. He used to be like, Willows, scale 1 to 10, how close are you to killing yourself today? And I would say a number. 10 being I am going to shoot myself after this.
Yeah.
And 1 being, we're probably fine.
Maybe next year.
So we haven't done that in a while.
Mhm.
So obviously I'm, but I was usually around like the 6 or 7, if I recall.
It wasn't low.
It wasn't low. It was like, I always say this. It's like your friend ever kills themselves and they interview the like widow or like whoever, right, on the news. And like, we never saw this coming. He was such a happy fucking, like, all of my friends would be like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, he was trending.
Yeah,
he was trending in that direction, but we couldn't do anything.
he finally killed himself. Yeah, like I know, like Andrew Tate. Oh no, I did it second time. He always says on camera, I would never kill myself because he thinks
Yeah, but he's gonna pull a
the
John
Matrix
McAfee and fucking kill himself and
Actually, so-
gaslight everyone.
that was my other. That's a great conspiracy. I love John McAfee. Like I think he is.
He's
a
objectively the fucking worst.
He's like one of the like he's a living meme. Like he was just
as much as Nygaard is, I guess.
so great. No, he didn't rape anybody. Yeah, I don't think. The popular sentiment is that he didn't do that.
He was a nice guy.
No, I don't. Not that he was a nice guy. He just didn't rape anybody.
Okay. So the bar is the floor.
I think like he was just so funny, and then he got suicided in a Spanish prison.
Anytime it happens in a prison is suspicious.
After tattooing on himself,
Yeah.
I would never kill myself.
Yeah.
He killed himself allegedly. So a lot of people are like, yeah, he got fucking suicided because he was like So for context, he made it's not a similarity, McAfee and McAfee antivirus. He made that.
I was gonna say. I thought you were gonna say they're not related. I'm like, you idiot. It's the same thing.
No, they are related. He made that.
That's why he's wealthy.
He got rich off of it, and then he immediately started being like, "I'm rich, so now I get invited to rich people shit." And
Right.
these people are all pedophiles, and they're all fucking fascists, and I hate all of them, and I'm a fucking anarchist libertarian, and fuck all these guys. I'm going to just. So what he started doing, he had like 5 assassination attempts on him.
Nice.
He proved it. You can Google this. He proved that he was poisoned with a fucking radioactive isotope.
Right.
Like,
which is not hard to prove.
Someone like slipped it in his drink or something though.
Right.
But like the fact that people were where do you get a fucking radioactive isotope, right? Like it had to
Government.
be a government agency, right? And he like in the hospital had his own doctors like pull blood
Right.
and be like, yeah, no, he's been poisoned. Right? So he was like fucking living, traveling, and he would do like live streams, like the same thing fucking Snowden does with putting the blanket over the webcam.
Right.
So they can't see any information of where you are. So he would do that, and he was just so fucking funny. He would do videos where he was just like talking about the fucking funniest shit. And he was just a living meme.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he got a tattoo that said he would never kill himself. And then he kills himself in prison, in a Spanish prison where they held him for like a year with no charges.
Right.
But then I saw people pointing out that saying you would never kill yourself publicly and then killing yourself would be the ultimate John McAfee move.
Yeah.
To troll everybody.
Yeah. No. That's like that's the fucking Robert Evans theory. Is that he did it to just like gaslight? It was the ultimate fuck you to everybody. Like that was consistent with his character.
That's
and everything that he would have
when
done.
I read that, I stopped for like literally 5 minutes just staring at the tweet. And then I was like running back everything I know about him, and I'm like, yeah, that's a fucking John McAfee thing to do.
You could really chalk up the whole Epstein thing too. Like, I can believe that he would have killed himself but I don't believe it would have been like without pressure. I think he had there was someone that talked to him and is like, you need to kill yourself or this is going to go much worse than that for you. So take the easy way out. You've lived a good life. You've gotten everything you've wanted. We've let you do what you do, but now's the time for you to go. So take the easy way out and kill yourself and don't drag yourself through this court process.
Or you're going to be at Gitmo and we're going to fucking put
right
battery on your balls.
It'll be kill yourself. That's the best option for you right now. And it was probably some guy sitting there talking. It wasn't like them forcibly stringing him up. It was probably a guy that sat there, talked to him,
which is like
handed him the rope.
It's like the mafia. Like you're going to die today.
Right.
It can either be quick or slow, and that depends on what you tell me. Like
I have a feeling it was.
I'm not letting you go, but
like most things, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I feel like he probably did commit suicide, but it probably was. It probably wasn't murder. It was probably suicide, but it was probably like coerced.
So I'm 50-50. I think I was going to say like 45-45.
I think in his line of business, he kind of accepted that was
that's the way out. Yeah, that's the way out. Yeah, but like I think I'm 50-50. He was killed, or in like coercing someone to kill himself is still murder, right? So he was either murdered or he's alive,
or
they let him go.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that is a likely. They gave him plastic surgery on his face.
Yeah.
And sent him off.
Yeah.
Some fucking island chain in the middle of nowhere where he lives as
It's like when Bin Laden got killed. They're like, oh, the body? Nope. out the helicopter.
Yeah, we're gonna
like,
give him
what
a
the fuck?
we're gonna give him a traditional Muslim water burial because we respect Osama bin Laden.
Jeez.
SEAL Team 6 is saying this, right? If you look into the evidence,
0% belief on that one.
well, no, I think the evidence that I've seen, which is look on DuckDuckGo, not Google. You
Right.
can't find it on Google. Osama bin Laden died of renal failure in the 90s or in the
Right.
early 2000s. There's a picture of him on dialysis. And I saw a video on InfoWars, which I know, say what you will about InfoWars.
It's
but
right sometimes.
I saw a video on there with like a fucking kidney doctor looking at the machines with no context.
Yeah.
Like not seeing that it was Osama bin Laden, just seeing the machines with no context, and then being like, what's your prognosis? And there was no way this person is living more than 18 months.
Right.
They're just not like, they're like, do you see this tube? Do you see that? This is what it's doing.
Right.
You can't survive.
There's also my uncle who was given 18 months to live the year before I was born.
Okay,
And
but
he's still fucking around in BC drinking like a fish.
okay, but was he running like military fucking operations? You know what I mean? Like someone like
well, I mean,
if he didn't die, he's in a wheelchair.
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's not fucking doing what they. That's
He's
a
not the
conspiracy,
charismatic
but
leader of a movement.
in my mind, like yeah, I that's a whole thing. And then the other big one was oh fuck, what was I just saying? I mixed a Jägermeister and brewed tea beverage, and you fucked me up, Tyler.
I didn't do shit. Bin Laden and McAfee and
Killing themselves.
the islands and getting suicided and the CIA and
My
face
favorite.
changing the Bitcoin guy.
One of my favorite. Yeah, no, my favorite ones was the leader of Mexican drug cartel, De Fuentes was his last name. The King of the Skies, they called him. He was the one that took over after what's his name? The famous guy with the tunnels.
Chapo?
El Chapo. He was the one that took over.
Right.
In the Sinaloa cartel in the 90s,
Mm.
in the late 90s. And they kind of dig into it in Narcos where they imply it. But Google him, go on his Wikipedia page, and you look at cause of death and what happened.
Yeah.
He was going to be a fugitive. So he went to a Mexican hospital owned by him, owned by his people, his cartel people. And they did a plastic procedure on his face to change his face, and he died of complications.
Right.
Right? But then
Classic.
the body wasn't allowed to be autopsied by the government because the cartels were like, no. Entered it, buried it, whatever.
Yeah.
So whose fucking body was that? So then there's
Doesn't matter.
So yeah, no. So I am 100% sure. Even before that last season of Narcos came out, I already knew about this story.
Yeah.
And there was no doubt in my mind. And then I saw it in Narcos. There's like his character. I think it's like one of his kids or something gives him a little like play toy airplane or something. And then at the end of the most recent season of Narcos was a few years ago. It's like the end of Inception where he spins the top.
Yeah.
And just keeps spinning.
Yeah.
And it cuts before it stops, so they don't know if he's in a dream or not. Same exact idea where it's like this guy, you don't see his face, but then he has the toy, the airplane toy.
Mm.
And then so Narcos, the Netflix produced television show, is saying this guy fucking lived.
Right.
And he lives in some fucking beach. And that one is believable. Like,
So I think at some point I want to have my mother on this podcast because, I mean, we talk about having our dads on, but like...
I think the best episode would be both of our dads, and we just talk about how disappointed they are in us.
That would be great. But I think my mom actually, like, if we got her a little bit drunk, she's hilarious, for one.
I love Sarah.
But last time we got drunk, a couple weeks ago, she told me that my family is involved in a major Hollywood film that is in theaters right now.
Okay.
It's called Women Talking.
Okay.
It's about the cartels and Mennonites and my family is involved in the production in, I believe,
As like consultants, because
and
they're
translation,
that's so funny. Okay.
and
What kind of
also
movie?
potentially some. It's about I believe it's about the women,
Is it in theaters?
like the wife. Yeah,
We should see it.
yeah. It's about
should
like
go see it.
the
That'd be
wives
fun.
of cartel members,
Yeah.
and
Like,
yeah,
is it a drama or a documentary?
it's not documentary. It's like a movie.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, my family's fucking affiliated with it, and also the CBC documentary of what are they called? The Mennonite Connection.
The Mennonite Connection. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my cousins is also in that.
Yeah. No, Tyler's family is connected to Mexican drug cartels. That's not
Yeah.
a joke.
No,
Like,
literally, one of
it's-
one of the, I think we actually talked about this recently, or not recently, but when it happened. So one of my, I think second cousins, whatever, they got into a car accident in Mexico.
Yeah, he literally
Husband, yeah,
he literally sits down right as we're about to record, and he's like, "Hey, want to see a video of 10 of my family members dying?" And just shows me a horrific car accident.
Yeah, so they got in a head-on collision in Mexico. They were in an SUV, and of course, none of them were wearing seatbelts.
Because Mennonites that don't respect the government and Mexico.
Right, but like, it wasn't 10, it was like 5. But
That's not better, right?
7, I think it was 7 family members in a car, none of them wearing seatbelts, got into a head-on collision on like a highway. You remember those highways that go into our resort?
Yeah.
It was like,
They're
look,
sketchy as fuck.
look like that.
I
Someone
remember
crossed over the median.
Our taxi driver was just driving up on the fucking like hills and shit. Like
He was
yeah.
good.
He was like texting. He was like on WhatsApp. Yeah,
It was fine.
Those were fine. Yeah.
Yeah, head-on collision. Everyone died
Jesus.
except for 2 of the kids, and one of them went into like intensive care life support, recovered, and they went to guardianship of one of my other relatives, and that guy was not supposed to get guardianship, but like, I don't know, he had some kind of power or clout legally, financially, whatever. He got the kids, and they've all disappeared. No one's seen them for like 2 months.
Are we hoping it's not child trafficking?
Assumption is he's sold them.
Oh.
These 3 kids.
Is child trafficking always sexual?
Almost
Or do you
always.
have them as like slaves?
That's part of it.
Like labor?
That's part of it.
I
But like, it's
I was about to say, man, I hope those are labor slaves, not sexual slaves.
this is like,
shame.
fucking look into it,
Yeah.
because drugs are less lucrative. Weed is less lucrative. Cocaine is less lucrative with synthetic drugs and whatever the fuck's happening, like fentanyl and all this shit that's on the market. Cartels are moving into human trafficking
Ugh,
as a big part of what they do. It's like, it's also like putting people over the border, but they skim off the top. Like, we'll bring 20 people over the border, but we'll take 5 of them and sell them.
That sucks.
And yeah, this guy's
Is there
the
that
guy
big
the
of
guy
a
has
market
disappeared
for
and
human
yeah.
trafficking?
yes.
Ugh, that's disgusting. See, I like.
And this is my immediate fucking family, and like,
See, I'm a big unironic fan of like Escobar's drug cartel.
as
Aside from like the killing the civilians, that gets a little bit into my.
he
But
he
anyone-
was powerful for long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
But for the beginning, for the rising up part of it, it's a relatable.
Anybody who wants to enterprise and fuck the government over,
Yeah.
I am all for. I think drugs should be legalized. Well, I think not because legalized implies regulation.
Yeah.
I think the government should get the fuck out of everything.
It's defying the power that is relatable.
And I'm in the liquor business.
Right.
Selling drugs that can kill people to consenting adults is my fucking job.
Right.
And we know the fucking dangers of alcohol.
I'm in construction, and people do not consent to the dangers that they get involved in.
Nobody. No, is there anyone that's drinking alcohol that doesn't know the dangers of it?
No.
You know what's funny is that a lot of people that like drink soda
Yeah.
don't know the dangers of it.
True.
But a lot of people that I have never met
Worse than beer.
anyone that drinks alcohol that's like, this is good for me.
Right.
No, but you watch my fucking 500-pound life, and those fucking people are like, I don't drink alcohol, and they're fucking 500 pounds.
Yeah. It's like,
But
I'm
I-
straight edge.
But I drink 12 fucking sodas. It's like, I don't think anyone's under the delusion that alcohol is good for them.
Yeah.
And they still do it. That's consent. That's what that is, right?
Yeah, and we both
So-
partake, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
So therefore, we're not doing anything we wouldn't do ourselves.
Well, yeah, who is it that Was it Bill Burr? Someone was talking.
So
some comedian was talking about like legalizing drugs. And he's like, who would fucking do heroin right now if it was legal? Silence. See? Like, it doesn't stop you.
Yeah.
Prohibition doesn't fucking stop you from doing anything. So I more or less respect drug cartels. And I've said this before, when you get in the game, you're consenting in a way to get killed.
Right.
Like, if you become a gang member, you become a member of a cartel.
They call you a soldier.
Well, that Sopranos, that was like the first episode. The first, when Tony's in therapy with Melfi, says like, we're soldiers.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Like, it's just like, and if you die, it's just, it was a war. Like, you're a soldier, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it is with...
Instead of serving your nation, you're serving your family.
And if you become a gang member and you get robbed or shot or stabbed or killed or whatever, well, don't become a gang... Like, you understand the consequences.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone does.
Then there's obviously it gets more complicated when it's like, okay, you're recruiting children to your gangs and,
people pressured into it.
Obviously, that's different. I'm not saying that. But when you're... And that's why I don't know if this is real, because it's just like I watch a lot of mafia movies and shit, but they always say like no civilians, right? You don't want to kill any civilians.
That rule's changing.
Well,
that's the big problem in Mexico right
remember
now.
Escobar blew up a plane to kill one guy and he killed like 500 fucking innocent people. Like that aside, that's pushing the fucking level.
That's a guy on the sunset of his career defending his power. But the reality of right now with see, this is why I love talking to my mom, because she's like, here's the fucking bleeding edge rumor gossip on like what the cartels are doing,
which is so funny because she hears it because her cousin calls her to gossip.
It's in the family group chat, right?
Yeah.
The current cartels are, well, I also got this partially from mainstream news and journalists, but the current cartels are very splintered. So El Chapo's reign of like, we're just here to make money, we're not here to fuck with people, is over.
Because his kid just got arrested, right?
It's more so because like the CIA and the U.S. government has been trying to dismantle all like the big political structures.
When we were in Mexico in 2019, we went into town, and our friend who lived there said like, yeah, I've seen someone get killed, and then a minute and a half later, cartel vans pull up, they fucking clean it all up, and they leave.
The police clean up after the cartel.
Yeah, and they do that because the cartel runs the city, and they need the tourists.
And they punish petty crime, but they don't harm the tourists.
Yeah, because they need the money. Because the cartels own the fucking resorts.
Right, so that's evolving, and now it's becoming these like splintered, up-and-coming, like new cartels that are trying to defy, the big organizations, and they're ruling not by, we're here for commerce, and if you don't mess with us, we'll leave you alone. They're turning into, we rule by fear. Which
is how they started in the 70s.
Which is how they started to a degree, and that's like how a lot of street gangs are, where it's like, it's not political, it's not really idealistic, there's not a lot of thought that goes into it. They're just like, we'll do whatever it takes to get power and retain it, and it's just like terror.
How much money does like the Hells Angels make, I wonder?
Billions.
Yeah, but like
billions.
How many billions? You know what I mean?
Tens of billions.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so.
I don't think so.
That's
a lot of money. Do you have any idea how much a fucking $1 billion is?
They're given credit for over 80% of all the drug traffic in Canada.
That's why I bring them up, is because because like Mexico is one thing, right? Canada has a relatively...
HA basically has the monopoly on the corridors of drugs from Mexico to Canada.
Yeah. Well, I remember... I don't know how much I remember in my trap house days...
Right.
When I used to like buy and share for free hard drugs to people. I remember there was a couple times where I like went past my comfort level.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is why. And so I remember meeting a guy that was like Yakuza affiliated.
Right.
Who was saying...
Yakuza's worth tens of billions as well.
Because he was saying like... They get it. Was it Yakuza or the Chinese one? One of them. They get it from Hong Kong to Vancouver.
Yeah.
And then they hand it over to the HAs, and they get it the rest of the way to Manitoba.
Yeah, and I think HA and El Chapo are just or the Sinaloa
Yeah.
are completely in cahoots.
Which is interesting.
Because HA is strongest in California, which is where also Sinaloa is strongest.
Yeah, because organized crime's interesting. Like like I said, I respect commerce.
Yeah.
Unregulated like drug dealing is the purest form of capitalism. I say that all the time. You buy low, sell high. That's
And
it.
HA objectively does not make life worse for people. I don't know a single story of someone who was mugged or robbed or killed or assaulted by an HA member.
Yeah, most of those you have to kill a civilian to get in. Like that's mostly propaganda.
That's all
that
propaganda.
kind of shit.
Yeah, that's not true. None of that's true.
Yeah, but you hear that all the time,
Yeah.
right? But that's just psyops from the
Yeah,
government.
no, none of it's true.
Yeah, I'm an organized crime fan. If I'm if I'm being
More or
honest.
less, yeah.
But I'm not completely against murder in general. I think the government shouldn't do it, or at least the government shouldn't have a monopoly on it.
Right.
But it's the whole my job or your job is to catch me. My job is not get caught. And if you get caught, you're a dupee, and you get killed by the government. You've been duped. The problem is where my line is the civilian thing.
Right.
Where if you didn't consent to it in the first place, which is the average civilian, like if I don't pay my taxes, they try to take my possessions, and if I resist them taking my possessions, they kill me.
Yeah.
Or they try to take me to jail, and if I resist going to jail, they kill me, right?
I mean, that's Breonna Taylor right there.
But I didn't consent to that just by being born in this country.
Right.
Fuck off, right? But if I join a gang, right, and I'm doing illegal shit, and I get killed by a cop, kind of consented to it.
Right.
Right? But also, we just had a Payday clip last episode, but there's a Payday, the guy that runs all the heists called Bane. You never see him, but he talks over the plans your heist. And you're always talking about how there's when there's a bunch of cops that come, it's oh, more dead cops, and at the end of it, it's oh, early retirement. But if you kill a civilian, he gets pissed.
Right.
He's like, professionals don't need to fucking kill civilians. Even in Reservoir Dogs, 1996 Quentin Tarantino film, Steve Buscemi and Harvey Keitel kill anyone? A couple cops. No real people then?
No real people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that's such an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Where it's you didn't have to kill anyone, did you?
Yeah.
Well, I shot a cop. It's oh, okay, you're fine. No real people?
Yeah.
That's what I get. So I think the same way.
God, we have no future in politics.
No, I've given up. Cheers to that, buddy.
If you elect me, the police budget goes to zero. I promise you.
I used to think when I'm sure if you listen to this podcast, you're kind of aware of my past. If you Google me, you will find me affiliated with a certain political party in Canada, which I am no longer affiliated with, which I left making very public statements on purpose so you could find those public statements so that you would know exactly why I quit.
Leave a track record.
And that was before they started doing fucking COVID craziness, which, for the record, anyway. But back then, I thought you could make a difference.
Right.
I thought if you were a good politician, a good-hearted politician,
right,
which I am, I do have a good heart, I don't care what you people say, that you could get in a position of power and make a difference.
Yeah.
And I thought that people would respect that of me and get me into power.
But
you can't.
Because?
The world is controlled by fascist, capitalist, Jewish cabal. Just kidding.
He's trying to pander to everybody now.
But they're owned by a fascist, capitalist cabal.
You're not gonna assume power unless you play the game.
Playing in their system, I used to think there was a left party and a right party. Now it's minute differences in far right parties, and everyone on Facebook arguing about politics is missing the goddamn point.
Yeah.
I honestly am coming around to the belief that even these leftist not meme pages, but like leftist blog, like any leftist promoter. And I'm not talking AOC, I'm talking farther left than that, like not mainstream people.
Yeah.
I think that's even a psyop. Like convincing you, like anyone who doesn't think the only solution is violence,
Right.
you're wrong. You have to violently overthrow your government or nothing's going to change. You can't vote your way out of it. You can, and personally, I don't think we should. I think we should just play capitalism for a bit. Fuck it. It's like Monopoly we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It's like Monopoly.
It'll wreck itself.
I think we should play capitalism for a while. Eventually, we're going to run out of resources, and we're going to have to change games. And it's going to be a different game. But I think, personally, you shouldn't hurt anybody. You shouldn't kill your politicians in Minecraft. But you should just play some capitalism, buy some stocks. If you want to know what to buy, follow Drunk Dividends on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. That's my stock trading Twitter. You can find my stock and crypto picks. But I think we should play capitalism for a bit and try to get rich. Eventually, it's going to collapse, and then we'll play a different game. We're going to simulate. You ever play a game for a while? You ever play a video game?
Sure.
Playing it for a while.
You just get really good at killing people.
Yeah, but no, it's, I played a ton of video games when I was younger.
Yeah.
Competitively, even. I played Age of Empires 3 competitively in a tournament for money one time. Didn't win any, but I was in there.
Wow.
Got like 120th or something. But I play I haven't played Age of Empires in a decade almost. Maybe not quite. 6 years, 7 years, and but I used to play it every day, and that's gonna be like capitalism. Just play it for a bit, and it's gonna collapse, and then you're gonna switch to a different game.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna play fucking, what's a survival horror game? Fucking Resident Evil.
Some Last of Us.
And we're going to be playing a survival horror game because we've run out of oil, and now the Earth is collapsing because there's fucking tsunamis from climate change, and that's fine. We're going to be playing a different game, but I think I don't think you should try to overthrow capitalism. I think you should just play capitalism for now, because good luck.
And do it begrudgingly.
Good luck.
Good luck trying to survive without it.
You ever get into a game and there's a Japanese or a Korean player on the other side?
Yeah.
In the lobby, and you're like, fuck. This Korean player is probably way better at me at Wii tennis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what capitalism is right now, where the giant corporations are stacked against you, and there's nothing you can do. So play it.
You can't opt out.
But you can't opt out. But you can make your life, I was going to say marginally better. No, you can make your life quite great, actually. By making $500,000 a year, you can fucking party all night and get girls to have threesomes with you, and
objectively live a better life than kings 100 years
ago. And travel to beaches and shit. All you have to do is make. Yeah, if you can make even 200 grand, if you can make 100 grand a year passively,
depending where you live.
Here.
Yeah.
If you can make 100 grand a year passively without having a day job,
or semi-passively,
working from your laptop maybe,
mm-hmm.
you could live
royalty.
Basically however you want.
Yeah. Like Tate says, after 10 million it doesn't get better.
It doesn't get better.
There's
nothing to buy.
Unless you have an affinity for mega yachts and crazy houses and just those symbols of extreme wealth, there's nothing else to buy.
I think he said 50 million a year, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
because it was what he's I can buy the same car as Jeff Bezos.
Right.
I can buy the same watch as Jeff Bezos.
Right.
There's nothing more expensive. He can buy a super yacht, and I can't, obviously, but there's nothing practically at $1 million a year, even working 40 hours a week, you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
And do anything you want.
Bezos isn't spending more than 60 to 90 days a year on that yacht.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do you want to spend 90 days 3 months a year on a fucking yacht? It feels like a long time.
I was going high.
Fair. The sea kind of sketches me out, to be honest.
I had a meeting with a guy this morning who's from a rich family. They've got a fucked crazy house. They have a room in their house. This isn't like exposing them or anything because I don't even know what their business is. But they have a 2,000 square foot room in their house. That's called a white room because it's all white. Everything's white. There's a white grand piano. All the floors are white. The rugs are white. The furniture's white. Everything's white. No one's allowed to go in there.
So a room bigger than my house.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
You can just look at it through the windows. No one's allowed to go in. Not even their children are allowed
What's
to
the
go in
actual
there.
point?
There is no point.
It's like an art thing? It's like a...
Why? There's no reason. They spend less.
Yeah, okay.
They spend less than 60 days a year in this house.
Yeah.
Which is 12,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Of which they use about 1,000.
Yeah.
2,000 is this white room.
Yeah.
And
wait, 2,000 out of the 1,000 they use is the white room?
No.
Okay.
They don't use it at all.
Yeah.
1,000 out of the 12,000 is what they use.
Yeah.
2,000 is of the 10,000 that they or 11,000 that they don't use.
Yeah.
And they stay there for 90 days a year. Like that's fucked. Like that's opulence, man. Like and the byproduct, like their kids are some of the worst people I've ever met.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, absolutely tracks. So, I don't know. Have some success, but remain grounded in the fact that you are...
Round out.
What?
Ran out of data. Storage space.
Oh, on video.
The mic's still going.
Yeah, you're fucking fallible. And, I don't know. Let's just plug our shit.
Yeah, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you've noticed it's cut out because my hard drive on my phone ran out because I told Tyler 45 minutes ago we should cut it now, and then he
shut
said
the fuck
no.
up. So watch women talking
on Netflix.
And I don't say it. I don't think it's not on Netflix for sure.
So here
it's in theaters right now.
2 steps. First of all, look up women talking on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
And then follow me, Vote Willows on Letterboxd.
True.
And we can watch it together.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to this episode 103 of Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast, the podcast where we debate business topics. Do anything we talked about today that you change your mind on now that we're drunk?
I think I'm a little more nihilistic.
Every time you talk to me, I feel like you're more nihilistic.
True.
I feel like you're more dismantle capitalism than I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm just like, this is the game mode we're playing right now.
I'm more like when I'm in my 40s or 50s or 60s, I will be a key element of like radicalizing the student movement and an enabler and be like, I'm going to low key buy you some bulletproof vests so you can overthrow the state. I don't think it's going to happen in like my youth, obviously.
I don't think you can. I honestly believe the longer I'm alive, like I came around where I'm like, I was a hardcore capitalist, then I was a communist. Now I'm like back to like, I wholeheartedly do not believe you can get anyone to care enough to make a difference.
I think there will be a point in time where
I just don't
change.
think there is. No one will change.
I think there will be. Like if you study history, there's always a point.
It's
always like this.
We didn't have the internet.
It's the
those last times.
That's fair.
We didn't have fucking.
We're on our way to dystopian hell. You heard it here first.
We didn't have skip the dishes to order fucking food to your house. Like we didn't
have the comforts.
We're done. We're done.
All the pleasure centers are triggered.
People would revolt. Bread and circuses, right? Now we have bread and circuses in our own fucking home.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well, on that cheery note.
We're going on vacation this weekend, so if you don't see us next episode, we died in a plane crash, and I really hope someone edits this
or a lobster
and puts it out. Thanks for listening. Alcohol Beyond This Point on Instagram, Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook, Google Alcohol Beyond This Point for the link tree, and follow us next week
for more shenanigans
where we forage some porridge
for Tate. Why did I say that?
Forage some
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.